welcome to this later edition of Thursday's Fan Zone, where we take your calls and your questions on all things Premier League. And our guest today is Jonathan Greening. Now, I could welcome you myself, but we've got a group of West Brom fans, Lunga and friends, who've done it for us.
Yes, to you, Johnny Greening. West Brom loves you more than you will know. Whoa! Remake! Johnny Green. West Brom loves you. Johnny Green. West Brom loves you. Johnny Green. West Brom loves you.
I think they may have enjoyed that even more than you did.
That was unbelievable.
So you're welcome to your first Fan Zone. We're going to start with a friendly caller. We've got a West Brom fan who's Skyping us now from Mumbai, and Pranay is on the line. So Pranay, do you have a question for Jonathan?
Yeah, Johnny, I have one question. What do you reckon of this season? Are we going to break the all-time record? Are we going to hit the 50-point barrier?
Nice to see you. I think this season so far they've done really well. I think with Tony Pulis in charge, he's a very experienced manager. They definitely won't be bouncing up and down like they did when I was playing there. He'll keep them organised and definitely keep them in the league. And there's no doubt that they're having a great season.
There were a few complaints at the start of the season about the way they were playing under Tony Pulis, but has that changed as the season's gone on, Pranay?
Yeah, it's been changed. They were at the start of the question about the transfer window as well, with the signing of Robson Kanu, Alan Neom as well. They were a bit questioned, but the way they have performed and proved the critics wrong. And Nasser Chadli he's been a major impact to the team. And also Chris Brunt and Morrison coming off the injury. They've been a long servant to the club as well, and they're contributing to goals, as well as Matt Phillips. Everyone was doubting him when the start of the season, but he has been one of the best player at the moment for West Brom side as well, and one of the best midfielders in the league.
Yes,
so he's been a completely changed.
Chris Brunt, I played with, and James Morrison I played with for 5 years, and I know him really well. And obviously they've been injured for a long time. They've come back into the sign. I think Chris Brunt should sign a new contract today, so that's really good news. And I think with James Morrison finding his goal scoring form as well, it's been a great boost. But I think, as I said before, with Tony Pulis in charge, he'll have them well organised. They might not play the best attractive football, but for one thing for sure is they'll definitely be in the Premier League next year.
But what do you reckon, John? Is this the best West Brom side you've ever seen?
No, probably when I was playing was the best West Brom side. The team that got promoted from the Championship to the Premier League. We played some decent fofootball that year, scored over 100 goals. Kevin Phillips was on flames. We played some decent stuff, to be fair.
Yeah, all right.
Pranay, do you think
one last question here. Johnny, what do you reckon? Is West Brom still more is just the old dog still? I mean, is West Brom still more supported by the old dogs like Macaulay, Morrison, Brunt? What if they leave the side? What is West Brom going to do?
To be fair, I don't think they'll leave. Obviously, Brunt is just signed a new contract, and Mozza's
after 2 years down the line. After 2 years, man.
Yeah, I think they need to keep them kind of players because they've been there like 6, 7, 8 years. So they'll be the nucleus of the team, and that's why Tony Pulis obviously is keen to keep them at West Brom.
Pranay, thank you very much for getting in touch with us on Fan Zone. If you've got any questions, then of course you can always get them into us. But the importance of Chris Brunt, as you said, signing that extended contract to keep him there till 2018 and keeping that link with players who've been at the club for a while. How important is that?
Yeah, it's massive. I think Brunty and Mozza obviously know the club inside out. Tony Pulis will have his thoughts on which players he wants to bring in, but it's important to keep players like that because that they're part of the club and they've been there so long. I was there 5.5 years, and I think Chris and Mozza have probably been there 7 or 8 years now. So it's definitely good for them to stay on, and it's good for Tony Pulis because they'll help them.
Yeah. Ernst is on the line to talk about West Brom as well. Ernst is calling us from Johannesburg. So what was the question that you had, Ernst?
My question would be, do you think that this West Brom side is having this great season due to the experience in the team, or do you think there's another element, something else that is driving this team to this amazing spot on the table?
Yeah, it's so difficult to try and get that balance right. But do you think it's between the experience, or is it that, you know, that Tony Pulis, as we were sort of alluding to earlier, is using the likes of Nasser Chadli, certainly as the season's gone on, in a way that suits his game more?
Yeah, I think Tony Pulis has got a way of playing that works. I think he trusts his players. That he knows, bringing players in like Chadli, he'd probably drip feed into the team because, my best friend, Richard Creswell, he played for him for Stoke for 3 years, and he said he's on the training ground every day working on shape, discipline and positions, and the attacking players, they've got a licence, but only a certain licence to think they've got to fit the team first. The team always comes first. So Chadli will be probably bedded in, which he has been, and there'll be definitely more for him to come. And I think, but with Tony Pulis, it's always the team first.
And the whole Saido Berahino saga has come to an end, and not necessarily amicably, but that's out the way now. It's a decision that's been waiting in the background, and it's done. How good is it to have a clean slate?
Yeah, no, I think the decision was made to benefit both parties. I don't think there was any malice in what happened, and I think now he can continue with his career and West Brom can move on without him. And I really hope that he gets his career back on track with all the rumours circling around, but we'll see. But I think it was the best decision for both parties.
Ernst, as we were talking about earlier, this idea that West Brom were the sort of boing baggies and they were relegated and promoted, and it was kind of that. But for you as a West Brom fan, now that the club is stable under Tony Pulis, what do you hope for from West Brom over the course of a Premier League season?
Well, for the past, I don't know, maybe 5 seasons, we've always been at the bottom. It's always been a scrap. So my only hope is that we can continue this consistency that we've seen this season, that we don't go into next season and end up at the bottom again and make the same mistakes that we had in the past. I think we've learned from our mistakes, but we certainly need to do better in the transfer window. It's coming this summer, because the January transfer window was pretty disappointing, seeing as we still have a lot of depth issues at a bunch of different positions.
Yeah, Jonathan, what is progress for West Brom season on season?
Well, I think, I was there 5 years. My first year, as he rightly said, we've always been at the bottom of the Premier League. My first year was the Great Escape, the first team to be bottom at Christmas to stay up. The second year we got relegated. Third year we lost in the playoff final. Fourth year we got promoted back, and then the fifth year we got relegated. So he's totally right, it's up and down, but, as I said before, the cementing the place in the Premier League. What's progress? Obviously, every year you spend in the Premier League, for me, is progress. It's the best league in the world. The January transfer window was probably a little bit disappointing, as he rightly says. They probably want to bring more quality into the team, but Tony Pulis is one of the managers who believes in his squad. He'll only bring the right players in if they're going to fit the club, and I think he's wise. As I said before, they definitely won't get relegated. So sometimes, a little progress at time is good, just good enough.
But as a fan, Ernst, for those seasons where it's the Great Escape or it's promotion, or when you're fighting against relegation, is it trickier to have patience when the progress is steady and there's no great reward at the end other than just doing a little bit better than you did last season?
Yeah, no. During those hard seasons, you always see the West Brom fan base get pretty down and glum, and it's never a nice atmosphere. You can see it in the stadium, you can see it on the online forums, you can see it on Twitter, everywhere, and it's not a pleasant feeling that surrounds the club at that time. So I think if we can just consistently for the next few seasons, just focus on consistency and not ending up in that scrap at the bottom, I think we'll have a much more positive environment around the club, and I think this will then build a platform where we can focus on bigger things.
Ernst, thanks very much for getting in touch with us on Fan Zone. But as he was saying, that idea of steadiness is quite a tough sell to a group of supporters, to say, do you know what, you're not going to rip any trees up, but neither are we going to be going down at the end of the season. It's quite hard to sell it as an exciting season, isn't it?
It's a hard balance because, the fans obviously want, highs and lows, being on the edge of the seat. You know, I've got a lot of West Brom fans who I'm still friendly with, who complaining about the way they're playing. But you know, I said to them, listen, it's better to be in the Premier League. You know, when I was there, you know, we had all the ups and downs. You know, semi-finals, FA Cups, playoff finals, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you know, we got relegated twice. We lost in the playoff final. We lost in the semi-final. I know it's exciting for the fans, but at the moment they're in a good place, and sometimes, you know, it's better to not wish for too much.
Yeah, just to be happy with what you've got. Take a zen approach to the whole thing. We've got a fan of one of your other former clubs, Faisal, who's a Manchester United fan, who's Skyping us now from Cape Town. Faisal, are they your headphones?
It's my daughter's headphones.
Looking good, mate, looking good.
They suit you. You should definitely stick with that. Did you have a question for Jonathan?
Yes, my question to Jonathan is how frustrated can a player be once they stay, out of the pitch? For instance, Jonathan was in Manchester United in '99. I think he had about 7 appearances, and then the next year was having about 9 appearances, and then the last year was having about 14 appearances. So, he was experiencing something like that. Now Rooney is experiencing something like that. Aguero also in Manchester City is also experiencing. How frustrated can a player be once they are on the bench?
It can be very frustrating. I'm glad you've done your homework. I think it was a bit different for me because I was a young kid. You know, I was 19, learning my trade at one of the biggest clubs in the world. But I wouldn't have had the career I had without, you know, experiencing that. I think Wayne Rooney is obviously different. You know, he's still playing probably 30 games a year. I was only probably making, 10, 9 appearances a year. That's why I had to leave and go and try and further my career and try and play regularly, which I did at Middlesbrough, fortunately. But Wayne Rooney's a bit different. He's an absolute legend. You know, one of England's best players, Manchester United's best players. He will be getting frustrated that he's not playing every game because, you know, he's a top athlete, and every player wants to play every minute of every game, no matter how old you are. Even when I was at 35, I still wanted to play every game. So he will definitely be getting frustrated.
Faisal, what about Manchester United this season? I mean, it feels as though that good run of results, although it's kept Manchester United in 6th place, the points gap has closed now. Is top 4 the aim?
Yes, definitely. The top 4 is the aim, and I think we will move from that 6th position this weekend, definitely, because Liverpool is playing against Tottenham, and we are going to play against Watford. So, I'm looking forward for that game. And once we move from that 6th position, I think the top 4 is our aim, big aim.
You were at Manchester United during their most successful period. So the idea of winning mentality, which is what we're talking a lot about at this stage of the season particularly, is one that you understand completely. By bringing in Zlatan Ibrahimovic, has Jose Mourinho brought some of that back into Manchester United, do you think?
Yeah, I think he has. I think, obviously when I was there, you had Alex Ferguson, one of the greatest managers of all time, obviously. And you had players like Roy Keane, who was a born winner. And I think, bringing Zlatan in, it's a clever move by Jose Mourinho, who's obviously a top manager himself. And everybody wants to play with him. Everyone wants to be on the pitch with him. So I think recently they've been performing really well. I agree. I think they'll win at the weekend. I agree. But I think they'll finish in the top 4, and I think maybe next year they'll really push on and probably win the Premier League.
Faisal, thank you very much for getting in touch with us on Fans. Give your daughter her headphones back now.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Faisal. Now listen, after the break, we're going to be playing... you are going to be playing the Keepy-uppy challenge. We'll have the table for you after the break, but as much as you're looking forward to it, you're not as excited as this person. Hello, welcome back to FanZone. Now, we don't know for definite, but we think Angel Di Maria may have learnt about the Keepy-uppy challenge because here he is playing headers with his daughter. And clearly, they've just broken their personal best. It's lovely, isn't it? However, we won't be quite as excited as that, Jonathan, if you manage to break the record. Alessandro from South Africa got nearly 600 in the Keepy-uppy challenge, but he's been retired from the competition. However, you want to look for... I'm going to roll this to you rather than throw it, because we've had some incidents in the past. So the rules are simple. Stay seated, keep it up for as long as you can. Right. And if you keep going for a little while, I might throw in a couple of questions.
Under pressure here, aren't I?
Well, look, you seem fairly comfortable. So Ty in India said, people, talking about you being on the bench for the 99 Champions League final, amazing comeback from Manchester United. What are your memories of it? What do you remember?
Very, very surreal. Only seems like yesterday, but obviously I was only a young kid, and it was just crazy, really. A young kid turning up at the new camp, not expecting to be on the bench, going in and seeing my shirt up, and Alex Ferguson saying I was on the bench, and it was just mad being a Man United fan as well. It was just unbelievable night. I'll never forget.
Did you phone people to tell them you were on the bench?
I'm not sure if mobile phones were invented then, but I don't know if I could afford one at the time. But my mum and dad and the girlfriend was there, and it was a real special night, obviously.
Josh in Australia said, "What's the story behind your car and mice?"
One of my ex-teammates, Andy Johnson at West Brom, went into his garage one morning, had loads of dead mice, decided to come to training, and I'd played a prank on him previous to that. So I came back out of training and there was dead mice all over my car. I didn't have time to take him off, so I had to go and do the school run with about 20 dead mice all over my car.
Oh no, you need a snake in that kind of circumstance. No, yeah. What's the cotton wool story? Is that related to that? Was that part of that series?
Yeah, well, that's why he did it, because he was afraid of cotton wool. So I filled all his boots, trainers, clothes with cotton wool, and he went absolutely mental. So that's why he got me back with it.
Afraid of cotton wool. How many was that?
I don't know.
Have we got any?
Getting bored.
We think it's 253,
I could have
and you
on forever.
chose to finish it, which is even more extraordinary. It means that you were at the top of our celebrity leaderboard by quite some way. This is not going to make the regulars happy at all.
I used to be able to do 1,000 when I was about 8.
Did you? You didn't tell us that one. You didn't tell us that one.
I kept it quiet.
Wait till Dion finds out about this. He's going to be furious. He'll be practicing in all the breaks. That is 253. It's a record from Jonathan Greening. And you watched it happen live here on FanZone. Right, let's get back to the calls. Congratulations. Let's get back to the calls. We're going to talk to Reynolds, who is a Manchester City fan, who's Skyping us now from Vancouver. Reynolds, I don't know if you managed to see that. It looks like City should be signing him up.
Yeah, no, I didn't get to see that though, but
it was very, very impressive. What about Manchester City this season? Gabriel Jesus has come in. It looks as though Guardiola is preferring him to Sergio Aguero. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, it's just they're creating competition. I feel like Guardiola, that's always going to be who he is. Like, we know what he's like. Ever since he's been in Barcelona. I'm not really surprised that he's doing what he's doing right now. He's like kind of a guy that, when players are fresh, he takes chances, right? It doesn't really matter whether or not they are really, really, poor, they're from a second division. But I feel like the competition is not really good right now because there's Kelechi Iheanacho, the Nigerian striker. He's also very good. I feel like he should get, more time too. And at the same time, I think it's just like because he's just starting playing right now for the first time. Mm-hmm. So after a couple games, maybe, we don't know whether or not he's going to do good. But after a couple games, I feel like if he's not doing good, Pep is going to put him on the bench straight up. That I know. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's not been afraid, Jonathan, to either move senior players on or bench them in the case of Sergio Aguero. Yeah. Do you think that he's still Guardiola's big game player, though?
Yeah, I think I'm actually reading Pep's book at the moment, and obviously he makes massive decisions. He's a great manager. I think obviously Aguero's having a bit of a tough time at the moment. He's not in form. Jesus has come in and he's been on fire. But Aguero's a top player, played against him, world-class player, and he will definitely bounce back. And I think maybe Pep's just looking for a reaction from him. Can he get back in the team? Can he get back amongst the goals? Can he get his form back? And if he can get back into the team, then he's definitely number one striker for me at City. He's an absolute legend.
But Reynolds, as you're saying, good to have the competition and to have them both in amongst it. Thanks very much for getting in touch with us on FanZone. Look, Jonathan, guess what? You're third, not just in the celebrity list, but in the all-time Keepy-uppy challenge list, only behind Alessandro, and you could have kept going.
I wish I'd have carried.
And then the next one is Benson, who's on 418. That is extraordinary with 253. It's just gone ridiculously well. Let's talk about Arsenal now with Deepak, who is on the line from Bangalore. As far as Arsenal are concerned, it's an on-off relationship with Arsene Wenger, Deepak. So is it on or is it off at the moment?
Good evening, Kelly and Jonathan, first of all.
Hi, Deepak.
And talking about Arsenal, I'm totally disappointed. The last 2 weeks have been very bad. But we have a chance to bounce back, that is against Bayern Munich. But as you said, it's on and off. Again, it should not be the same thing like last couple of years where we lose the first leg very badly and then go and win the second leg somehow and missing by a small chance. And it's a really disappointing season. About Wenger staying, at the moment, I would say it's the right time for him to go. And since he has not yet signed the contract, I feel, he has done good for us, and I really like him. But anyways, for the club's perspective, I don't think Wenger can stay.
And Deepak, I heard Phil Neville talking earlier and saying that he thinks that if Arsenal want to have a go at the Premier League title, they need to do it without Mesut Ozil. What do you think of that?
Totally agree with you. I was about to say the same point. Actually, one problem with Wenger is he never punishes a player. If I take the example of Alex Ferguson, that hairdryer treatment, he is very strict with his players. He has the guts to even bench Rooney and very great players. So that is one weakness I always see in Wenger, that he has to play star players. And I've never seen Mesut Ozil missing a single match when it's fit. I think he needs to be dropped. I feel so.
Do there need to be consequences for players if they're not on a good run of form, or do you need to support them?
I think you can, if they're on a bad run of form, you can forgive them if they're putting the work ethic in. I think with Ozil, sometimes, I've watched a lot of Arsenal games this year. Sometimes, you don't think, he's actually putting a shift in. And I think, would you say he's a team player? I'm not too sure. Obviously, he's a world-class player. He's played at some massive clubs. He's won everything with Real Madrid and Germany, but the mentality of Arsenal is, they play against teams they should win and they lose. And why is it? Is it because everyone's not working together? And I think that's what a lot of people think of Ozil.
Well, thank you very much for getting in touch with us. We're going to go on to Skype now, where Marina is waiting to talk to us about Chelsea. Marina, one of the accusations that has been levelled at Arsenal could not be levelled at Chelsea this season. Every single player is putting in the maximum amount of effort. How much is that down to Conte?
Conte has definitely played a big role especially after what happened last season. I think you can even see his behaviour on the touchline. Like, he pushes the players, and even with the kind of what happened with Diego Costa and just putting him in line, you can just tell that he's somebody who's really focused and won't take anything that's not directed towards the aim, which is winning the league.
And the way, Jonathan, that comes across on the pitch is that you have every player fighting for every opportunity to try and get the win. Yeah, well, it's completely the opposite to Arsenal. I think, you can see, they play from a team shape. They're all very disciplined, but they all put a shift in, and that's why they're top of the Premier League, because they're well organised, they're all disciplined. At the end of the day, they all put 110% in, and they all fight for each other. And at the moment, they're at the top of the Premier League and deserve to be there. So, Marina, is that it? 9 points clear in February. Do you think you've won the title already?
No, it's not won completely. I think the 4 points from Liverpool and Arsenal are massive points, but now we're facing Burnley, who are extremely good at home. Like, if you look at the home form table, they're third after us and Tottenham. And then we have to go to Swansea and West Ham. These are teams fighting for their lives. So it's going to be a real challenge, and we just have to stay focused. But with Conte and pushing everything, I think we will win it. I'm confident that we'll win it. I just hope that the other teams continue to falter.
Marina, thank you very much for joining us. It's a big match for Chelsea this weekend as they hope to take advantage of maybe Liverpool or Spurs dropping points after their game this weekend. All to play for still in the Premier League, but Chelsea with that huge advantage as things stand. Jonathan, thanks very much for coming in to join us on Fan Zone. Thank you most of all to you, though, for getting in touch with us. There are lots of ways that you can do that. You can even send in your videos for next time. Bye for now.